going through a recession, how would you guys stay profitable?
Same thing we're doing now, just sitting here. Don't touch anything.
Those companies
let it ride.
Wouldn't go down, wouldn't take a plummet?
Yeah, for sure, man. But we don't care. That's part of our philosophy, right? Like, we're buying solid companies. The companies I know have survived a recession. They've been around for, decades. They've been increasing dividends for decades. They've paid dividends through recessions. And like me and Matt have said, right, like, we're here to collect payments. So if the stock market drops 30 or 40% tomorrow, I'm lucky, as well as Matt, to have capital gains built into our portfolio. So like, we're lucky enough that the stock market would have to drop pretty substantially before I'd actually be losing contributed money. But at the same time, like, you just let it ride, just collect dividends, because we're here to collect payments, travel, spend, enjoy family time. So if it dropped 30%, you just got to imagine that's like buying a Lambo for 30% off.
Yeah.
Who says that? Where did that quote come from?
I don't know. But no, the way I look at it is my time horizon is the next 30 years, maybe. So I'm 28 now. So by the time I'm actually probably going to start using this money is, maybe 50s, 60s. And so I'm not going to let the next 1 to 2 years dictate the next 28 years of my investing career. And if you take an example from 2008, 2009, yeah, some people might have lost, say, 50% if they sold, right? But a lot of people, if they didn't sell and they just kept holding on, and they're in your position where we have a long time horizon, and they continue to add capital, and they were fortunate not to lose any jobs or anything like that, because there were those unfortunate people that did. But in my position, a lot of people kept their jobs, because in the industry that I'm in, the price of oil actually went up. So a lot of people were actually able to continue their jobs. And if I kept investing in 2008, 2009, my portfolio would have been, even bigger than it is today. And I anticipate the same thing. Yeah, I might take a step back in terms of the portfolio size, but I guarantee that I'm still probably going to retain, even if it's as bad as the Great Recession, probably 75% of the dividends that I get. So right now I'm making about, on a forward basis, $11,200 or so a year. It might drop down to the high 7,000s in the worst case, but I doubt it would. And what's going to end up happening is I'm just going to continue to add the $4,000 or $5,000 a month that I'm fortunate enoughly able to do, and that's going to continue to build the amount of income that comes through. And if I'm able to continue to invest through the cycle, in 1 to 2 years, if we do have a downturn, it's going to be coming on the upswing again, and it's going to be like it never even happened within 3-4 years from now. And had I just taken my money out, potentially waited, didn't invest, then once it got back to even again, I'm buying at prices that I was 4 or 5 years ago, and I missed out on these bargains for 3-4 years. And unfortunately, I think that's the mindset of a lot of people. They get emotional. And so what ends up happening, and Kyle, I know you have a bunch of advice as well, or at least experience with this as well. But my thought is a lot of people invest on emotion, and I can understand that. It's money. It's very emotional. They put a lot of time, sweat, effort in order to get it. But if you have a strategy that you are sticking to, like for me, it's dividend investing. It's growing the dividend investing and the dividend income stream. So I'm not going to deviate off of what capital gains are. I'm going to look at what the companies that are paying the good dividends are, what kind of bargains I can get, whether it's, say, Coca-Cola goes from its yield of 2.5% to 5%. I'm going to be buying that. That's a good high quality company that has been paying dividends for over 100 years. And if they don't change their business model, they're going to be doing the same. And so that's my philosophy, because my personal goal for the majority of the portfolio is to purchase dividend paying stocks. So I don't care what the stock price is. I care about how much it's going to pay me, and if the company has the integrity and the balance sheet to be able to pay. And that's what I'm more focused on, rather than what the price of the stock is.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how much you watch like our strategies behind our investing, but like when I'm saying like we're trying to buy a Lambo at a discount, like we're only looking at those AAA rated companies like Apple, Microsoft, like Altria Group is like a heavy one that a lot of investors have been focusing on because it's down substantially this year, and now it's finally starting to come back. But when we see those big dips, right, like me and Matt, even if you're not using a huge amount of money, like if you could even get like 500 or $1,000 in a company like MO toward that bottom there, and you cost averaged in, and you saw that 10% pop. I mean, I got some of my buddies in MO at around that, what was it, like 42 mark. I got my mom in at that price, and now she's already seeing like incredible capital growth plus a 6% dividend yield behind her. And I don't plan on selling them, so obviously we're not looking at the capital growth, but that's the beauty of trying to buy these big companies when they're against the grain. Because I mean, instead of trying to day trade them, we're not even really trying to. I think we're swing trading the dividends. Is essentially what we're all really trying to do here. Because you can cost average into the markets, but if you can cost average into a company that's already cheap, like the rate of return you could experience could be like tenfold. It's a hard thing to gauge, but it's what we're trying to do here nonetheless. So I mean, if you can get a company that's on discount, I mean, you're better off just loading the boat on it, right? So. But strategy-wise, there's not much else to it than that. You just pick your companies you love and just cost average in over the next few years. Pick a time horizon, like Matt says, and then just you can figure out what your rate of return is going to be over that few years, and you kind of judge it based on that. It's hard to get any grade or any idea of where you're going until you start the strategy. And these strategies, like I said, is long-term, right? So you really have to get that image in your mind that you're looking 5-10 years out, and then you can track yourself along the way. And if you're screwing up, you can make adjustments. But like it's just the way it works, right? What's your average rate of return, Matt? Do you know what your rate of return right now is?
Year over year, to be 100% honest with you, I don't track that. I track the year over year dividend growth rate. I mean, that's how. I mean, maybe to a fault, that's how committed I am to growing the dividends. Which that could be it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, that's 100% what I'm looking for. I'm looking for growing the dividends because that's what I care about. I care about what I'm going to be able to live off of, which is the dividend. I don't care what the portfolio value is. The only reason why I throw up $382,000 on a portfolio video and a thumbnail is clickbait. 100%. I care about like the fact that if I put 11,800 or 11,300 monthly dividend portfolio, less people would click on it because other folks are putting 15,000. They're putting their total portfolio value and then monthly dividend. Because I've tried that honest route where I'm making 11,000 or 10,000 a year in income, and at the end of the day, it's what I don't necessarily care as long as people get on the video and they get the education. That's more what I care about, and unfortunately, that's just how I have to do it. So I feel bad for the 21 people that are watching, and they're like, "That is kind of weird," but to a fault, I don't track how much year over year return I get. If I do quote it, it's because people ask me about it. And what I actually do track on a day-to-day basis is the year over year dividend growth.
Yeah, which is pretty much what we're all doing. But to some extent, I still like keeping track of the capital growth. There's a few guys on here we watch that usually say, you should get capital growth with your dividends. So you want to make sure you're not. I'd be neat to see what your actual capital growth is though behind your portfolio, because you have to be doing pretty well with the companies you're holding nonetheless, to an extent. But yeah, I think I was talking to Matt about this recently. One of the guys that I watch that does real estate mainly, he says the biggest hindrance to people like myself is what's called like the rat race syndrome, where we mainly just focus on trying to get out of the rat race. So instead of focusing on capital growth, which is where you could see like way more upside potential, me and Matt are mainly just focused on building those dividends, because once we're out of the rat race, all of a sudden you're not paying nearly as much attention to the cash flow as much as you are to making a better investment decision. I think that's become a little bit of a hindrance of mine, but I still pick stocks and other investments that are a little bit more equity upside, but I still tend to analyze both, even though that I do what Matt does a lot too, and do some clickbait. But we got somebody else in the group here.
We got Captain Ryan, man. We got Captain Ryan on the channel.
Hey, Kyle and Matt, thanks for doing this, man. This is pretty cool. I just can't believe, you guys are offering this help to anybody that'll come on, man. That's the world we live in now.
Yeah, man.
Great. I just think that's killer. And, you know, you got the ability to connect with people that you would have never had the opportunity to connect with.
Yeah,
You've
man.
got real portfolios, man. And I give you all the credit, man. I think it's pretty cool. I was just sitting on the couch listening to the live stream and hearing some of the questions that Dustin was asking. And I hear these questions 1,000-fold every day, man. People have the same questions about what people are doing to just grow wealth at the organic level, man, at the ground level.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a job. I don't have extra cash. What can I do to get started? You know what I mean?